Our new CBS Battleground Tracker finds Republicans are still leading the race for control of the U.S. House of Representatives, but Democrats are gaining momentum. In July, our estimate was that Republicans stood to win 230 seats, 12 more than the 218 needed for a majority. Today, Republicans would stand to win 226 seats, still a majority, but a slimmer one after Democrats narrowed the gap last month. We turn now to CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto. Anthony, good morning. So this is not a prediction, it's an estimate, but it appears that the prospects Republicans once thought of a big red wave election appear to have dimmed. Is that true?
Yeah, there are some breakwaters in here, to continue your metaphor, against that wave. And we learn when we talk to people across all the districts, because remember, this is a contest for 435 seats, is that they are abortion. It is a little bit of improvement in the economy and prospects, and a little bit of improvement for Joe Biden, and then 3, the Trump factor. Let me take those in order. Let me start with abortion, because that really stands out. Democrats now say that is very important to their vote, even more so than the economy. And then we see gains for the Democrats among this key voting bloc, college-educated women. They live in swing districts. Democrats have rebounded with them. They've always counted in the last 2 cycles on that group. So that's important. And then related, there's this view among women, among independents, that should the Republicans gain Congress, that the Republicans would prioritize abortion restrictions. So that's how that all ties together on the abortion front for Democrats, Major.
So one of the problems Democrats have had structurally all year is President Biden's low approval ratings. Is there anything in this data that suggests those have begun to turn?
And some of those low approval ratings have come from lower approval among his own base, among Democrats. So that's the story coming in, but now we see a little bit of improvement there for him. So his overall numbers are up. That's bolstered by a sort of return, sort of coming home from a lot of Democrats, and that's tied to the economy. So his handling of gas prices, of inflation, a little bit better, certainly from Democrats saying that. And one of the things we've seen is that his numbers have been tied to those gas prices. It's often how people think about the economy, right? What they're paying, right up there at the cash register or the pump. And then the other part of this is the Democratic base shoring up with young people, maybe some of that related to support for the debt relief. But you do see a little bit of that bounce back among Democrats, and that's helping him.
Anthony, history tells us midterm elections, new presidency, almost always a referendum on the current occupant of the White House. That would be Joe Biden, obviously. But there's data, I understand, that suggests that former President Trump still looms large in this midterm conversation.
Yeah, this midterm is different. And we'll say that a lot over the next few months. But one way it is that Donald Trump, former president, is still a factor, voters tell us, for most people in their vote choice, one way or the other, positive or negative. Now, let's look right now at the effect of Mar-a-Lago and the search. First of all, big difference in partisan views. For Republicans, this is a political attempt to damage the former president. For Democrats, for independents, it's looking after national security. Okay, so that's number one. But then what happens politically? Republicans want their leaders to defend Donald Trump on this and stay with him. That's 7 in 10. It's a big number. But for everybody else, Donald Trump ends up being a net negative in that sense, for Democrats, for independents in the vote. The other part of this, Major, is Donald Trump was endorsing candidates throughout the primary process. We pick up now from voters a feeling among key groups that the Republicans have nominated candidates who they feel are more extreme than the Democrats have nominated in general. And that's part of that effect beyond the Republican base that you see from Donald Trump.
Historically, midterm or general election, economy front and center. There has been some, as you've outlined, encouraging signs for Democrats. And look, they're desperate to find encouraging signs. They haven't had any for months. But yet the economy still appears to be difficult for them. True?
Well, people still say it's not good, even if there's some improvement. And Republicans are winning the voters for whom the economy is most important. And that is underpinning that Republican gain, however large we estimate it is at this point, right? So that's number one. Number two is Republicans are still seen as more likely to prioritize inflation if they gain Congress. And that's a gap that the Democrats still have not filled. And maybe they're not going to erase that because there's a year of voter frustration behind it, right? Behind that for the Democrats. All of which is to say, Major, again, what is this election about? That's often the most important question. If it's about the economy, the Republicans have an advantage. If it's about all these other things we've been talking about, maybe some hope for Democrats.
And very quickly, Anthony, energy on both sides.
Energy enthusiasm is up, enthusiasm is high. At this point, very strong turnout would be what we'd be looking at here.
Anthony Salvanto, always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks so much.